So welcome to today's video. We are taking a look at the big question: is ultramarine blue a warm blue or a cool blue, or is phthalo blue the warm or cool blue? I already mentioned that in the past in some of my videos that with red and yellow the question about warm and cool is very clear for all, but with blue, that there's a big point that some people say ultramarine blue is a warm blue, and some people say no, it's not, it's a cool blue. And why some people say it's a warm and some people say it's a cool, same goes for the phthalo blue, that is what we are taking a look at today at this video. And I also will tell you how I personally see this, what my opinion to this question is, or which in which way I choose to handle my blues. So let's take a look at first the yellow and the reds. I start here with a cool yellow, lemon yellow color, and I think that is something which is the same for all of us, that colors that are like lemon yellows we handle as a cool yellow, and yellows which are leaning more towards orange, that we are seeing that as a more warmer yellow. Sorry. So, and fair warning, I totally did not look at the cool and warm, the C and the W I wrote for the reds. So I swapped that. I have on the first box the C for cool, but I'm now filling in with warm red. So just that you are not confused about that. I'm really sorry about the mistake. I wrote that down previously before I did the swatching, and when I was in the swatching I just didn't look at that moment. So that of course is not a cool red, this is a warm red, and I'm really sorry about if you are hearing the noises from outside. There is a construction site outside of our house, so really sorry if you're hearing the noises from the construction site in the video. Okay, so like I said, this is our warm red, and for our cool red I have chosen a color which we would use as a primary red because it is a very magenta-like color. And I think, like with the yellows, all of us see it like that, reds, like the first, we handle as warm reds, and reds which are like this magenta color we handle as our cool reds. I think that is something all of us handle the same, and I have never seen any videos or never read anything about color theories which handle the yellows or the reds differently. They all do this the same way. But with the blue, there is definitely the big difference, because I have seen so many videos and I've read so many things about color and color theory, and some handle ultramarine blue as a warm and some handle it as a cool blue, and the same goes for phthalo blue. Some handle it as a warm and some as a cool blue. For me personally, I was always confused why people would say that ultramarine blue is a warm blue, because for me, when I look at the yellows, it is very easily, with knowing nothing about color theory, to feel that the lemon yellow is a cooler and the other one is a warmer yellow. And the same is for the reds, that you can feel that the red on the left side is a warm and the more magenta-like color is a cool. And the same I always had with ultramarine blue and phthalo blue. So for me, ultramarine blue always felt cool and the phthalo blues always felt more warm. And that was the point when I started to learn more about pigments and colors and color theory, when I took a deeper dive in the whole color theory, and I wanted to know if I am the only one thinking that ultramarine blue is not a warm but a cool blue. And that's the point where I realized that it is more like a half-half situation, that half of the people say it's a warm and the other half saying it's a cool blue, and that basically two different methods are used why people say it's warm or cool. So I thought we will start with our color wheel, because I think that is probably the thing in art which is used the most. Most of you probably know those wheels you can buy, which are mostly paper made and have different circular papers which you can turn in any direction, and which shows you the primary and the secondary colors. And then some of them have these little cutouts when you are putting them to, for example, the red, then you can put the one with the yellow marker, and then you can see what would happen if I put yellow to the red, or what happens if I add blue or red, so the three primary colors, so that you can get a knowledge about what happens when you would mix the colors. And also some of them on the back side have these tetrads and triad models, where you can look at which 4 or 3 color would work very well together in a color composition. So that is a very easy and well-known model which is used in art. I now have put in first our primary colors, yellow, red and blue, and then the 3 empty spots are for our secondary colors. And I think that is something I probably don't have to explain, because probably most of you know, but if there is someone who doesn't, I thought I will do a little explaining here. So the secondary colors are basically the colors that we get if we mix 2 of the primary colors together. So for example, if we mix the red and the yellow, we get the orange, the red and the blue, we get the violet, and the blue and the yellow, we get a green. And that is what we will fill in to the empty spots now. So we have the primary colors and the secondary colors, and that is also something you will get on these turnable color wheel things you can buy, which are basically models that should help you working in any kind of art. It doesn't matter if it's watercolor or another medium. And most of those also have things like what happens if you're adding white or black, for example. Yeah, I also have one of those because sometimes it is very helpful for me to look at the tetrads and the triads. So I don't say don't use a color wheel just because I see the point of cool and warm blues a little bit different than it is handled in the color wheel normally. So we have the orange, then we will be filling in the green next, which is the mixture of green and blue and yellow, which will give us the green. Same as we get the orange if we are mixing the red and the yellow. And of course, same goes for the violet, which is the result of mixing red and blue, of course. And that is something I think which every child either gets taught from someone, that if they are mixing those colors they get these results, or if stumble up on themselves if they start playing around with colors, like with kids watercolors. That's something, at least in Germany, which kids start to use in the kindergarten. So that's way easier to mix up, of course, as for example with colored pencils, at least when you are a child. So now take a look at our ultramarine blue, which is located more towards the violet, and our phthalo blue is located on the color wheel a little bit more towards the green. And because the violet is next to the red, the people say this is a warm color because it is closer to red. And the phthalo blue because it is closer to green and yellow, which is way definitely not as close to red as the ultramarine blue. They say because of that it is a cool blue. So take a look at where the color wheel originated from is when we are taking a look at light and the different wavelengths of the light, or as we easily can see it, of course, in rainbows, or if you have a prism and you're seeing how the light breaks. Then when we are taking a look at that, we are starting, of course, with red, like infrared light, and then going in the absolute same order as the color wheel, because the next color would be the orange, then we have the yellow, the green, the blue and violet, and that is the same as we have in the color wheel, but on this scale the red and the violet are very, very far from each other. And that is because infrared is Sorry. Infrared having the longest and the ultraviolet the shortest wavelengths of the light. So depending on that, we have the red as our warmest color and the violet as our coolest color. So here we have a big difference, because on the color wheel we say violet is close, or violet and of course orange are the closest to red, so those are warm colors. And that's the reason why, because ultramarine blue is closer to violet, we say because of that reason it is a warm color. But when we are taking a look at this light color model, then it is completely different, because violet here is the coolest color, and that would mean that, of course, a blue which is closer to violet, like ultramarine blue, would be a cool blue and not a warm blue, because it is way, way closer to our coolest color on the spectrum, and that is the violet. And that is the reason why I, for me personally, say that is my choice, how I see the colors, not only because it feels like that for me, but because of science. We have the phthalo blue here as the color which is closer to red than the ultramarine blue, because the ultramarine blue is the color which is closest to violet, which is our coolest color. So therefore it must be our cool blue, and our phthalo blue, which is closer to green, which is closer to, or closer to the red as the ultramarine blue, which is more on the violet side. Therefore the phthalo blue must be our warm blue. So then would be the question why it is so different for the color wheel. And I think that's why I took the half circle down below. That is the easiest to show, that if you want to bend the light spectrum in a circular model, which is easier for people to handle because it is easier to spot, for example, the complementary colors, or which color mixed with which color gives you this and this secondary color, then it is very easily to see that the red and the violet is where our straight model meets in our circular model, the color wheel. Of course, when I have a straight model like the one from the wavelengths of the light from the infrared to the ultramarine violet, and I want to shape this into a circular model, I will have to choose a point where they are meeting, and that is the red and the violet. And that is just because those are the colors which are farthest away from each other on this straight model. And when I bend it, then that is the point where they meet. That's the reason why on my color wheel I have put this at a little bit thicker black line in between the red and the violet. That is the point where the light model meets when you put it into a circular shape. And that means that violet is not a warm color because it is next to the red. It is just the point where the red and the violet meets, because we're putting a straight model into a circular model. And we have to somewhere put them together, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do a color wheel. We wouldn't be able to have a circular model if we not put the ends together. But if you are looking on the straight or the half circle model, we have the left side with red, which are our warmest colors, and we have the right side with the violet, which are our coolest colors. So that is the model I personally handle my blues, and that means that the left side on our color wheel are the more warmer colors, and the right side with the violet are the more cooler colors, because on our light scale we have ultramarine violet, ultraviolet, not ultramarine, I'm sorry if my brain doesn't handle it at the moment, as our coolest color, and the infrared or red as our warmest color. So I'm not saying that you aren't allowed to still handle your ultramarine blue as your warm red. If you want to do that, that is completely fine with me. But for me personally, I go after the science model and handling as for me personally, and like others do, like I said, that is definitely a point where a lot of artists are discussing about which is the right one and which is the wrong one. And yeah, I mean, some will argue a lot about it. I don't want to argue and say you aren't allowed to do it the way you do it or have done it, or that you must change it. I just wanted to explain why there is this point of discussion that some people say this blues are warm and this blues are cool, and other people see it completely different. And I hope that this video did explain the 2 points, and also hopefully explained why I personally go after the science model and saying that for me ultramarine blue is a cool color and phthalo blue is a warm color. And like I said, you can handle that however you want, but if I'm talking about ultramarine as a cool color or phthalo blue as a warm blue in my videos, I hope that this video explained why I do it and why others do it as well. And feel free to choose whatever model you are feeling good with. You are very welcome to tell me your personal opinion, which model you prefer, or if your point of view maybe have changed with the video, or yeah, I hope that at least it was helpful to understand the arguments, or both sides of the arguments, why some people see the blue as different, that we have these arguments about warm and cool in the blue spectrum. So yeah, really hope that this was interesting and helpful, and thank you very much for watching this video. Like always, thumbs up or a follow is very, very much appreciated, because it really, really helps me on the channel. So thank you very much for each of them. And I hope to see you in another video. And thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye, and take good care of yourself, please.